All right. Did anybody see us? Are we live yet? There's always a weird delay. Hey, Tangent Trail's in the plot. You're on the trail. How's it going, Tangent? This must be. Can you actually see us yet? I don't know. I know there's a delay. It's still showing it as not being on mine. Oh, there it goes. All right. So we probably are somewhat live now. How's it going, Hot Pants?
Going good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Just eagerly awaiting our first trip of the season because I hate that we can't get out yet because of the snow.
The weather we've been having is not making it any easier either.
Yeah, it's been like ages. Of course, next week it's supposed to drop down into the 60s again.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fair. Hopefully it warms back up by next weekend.
Yeah, hopefully. For some reason on my end, my camera is not showing up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Let's try this again. Yeah, I could see that, and I'm trying to figure out why. Well, now I can't log in. Let's see here.
Oh.
This might be a short stream if I can't get things to work.
On my second screen, you just showed up.
Okay. That's weird. All right. I guess maybe I won't be able to watch the other thing. That's weird. I don't know why that's doing that. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. Now we're back. All right, sweet. So, yeah, we have a big trip coming up possibly in the next year.
Possibly.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm excited. Excited to try some. I mean, it'll be without a doubt the longest trip I've ever done continuous. Longest, right now I'm looking at a 6-7 day outing. Whereas what's the plan for this long trip? 2 weeks?
I think the plan is 2 weeks. So audio isn't matching up with your mouth. I don't know what to say. Tangent Trails, I'm sorry. I'm new to all of this and it sucks. So hopefully my internet will catch up. But yeah, so anyways, welcome everybody. I hope you're having a great night. We're going to talk a little bit about this big trip that Hot Pants and I have coming up next year. I think I mentioned it before, but we have decided to do a 2-week-long, 162-mile traverse across 2 mountain ranges that oftentimes get paired together, but they actually are 2 separate mountain ranges. The Absaroka Mountains and the Beartooth Mountains in Montana, which is where we live. And so I thought it would be fun to get on and talk a little bit about some of our, I guess, long-term plans with it. So we are still a year out, a little more than a year out. I think we're going to try to do it next July. Is that correct still?
I think that's the plan. Yeah, that'd be ideal.
So we still have plenty of time as far as logistics go. But as you said, this will be the farthest or the longest trip that I've ever done as well. So believe it or not, continuously. So that in itself is a bit of a stressor. Mm-hmm. But obviously we've got some logistics to hammer out between now and then, including whether or not it's going to be, if we're going to include some other people in or not. So that's always a possibility. But yeah, so again, for those of you that don't know, this is a route that I kind of created on my own using existing trails. I wanted to see if I could create a long trail for this for the area that we're in, because I've always wanted to do a through hike, but some logistical reasons make it hard for me to get to other places. So I thought it would be a great time to, a great way to kind of fulfill that. And so I sat down with a map and I looked up the trails and I connected existing trails and I created this route. And because Hot Pants and I have been on multiple longer trails together, I think we've done a couple of week-long trips together. Mm-hmm. and I knew that I could get along with you on the long term without coming to blows, at least not yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I've managed to piss you off that bad. You don't piss me off because I still maintain to this day that you're like the nicest guy on the planet, way nicer than I am. But when I came up with this whole little scheme, you were the first person that I contacted with it, and I said, "What do you think of this?" And your response was,
Heck yeah. When are we doing it?
exactly. So yeah, so it's kind of been you and me connected at the hip on this since the very beginning, and this
Oh,
has
yeah.
been a plan for a couple of years now, I think. So we were probably going to do it earlier than this. However, Mother Nature kind of threw some monkey wrenches in our way with the flooding that happened a couple of years ago that they're still fixing part of the
Yeah.
trail on. So, how's it going, Jared? Snack Box, good to have you with us. I do think it is going to be a cool trip. There's a lot of stuff between now and then, but this has definitely become an obsession of mine. So yeah. So I guess what was it about the trip that piqued your interest and made you want to consider joining me for this insane odyssey?
Oh, so I've born and raised in Billings, Montana. I've grown up here my whole life and spent all my time recreating in the Beartooth Wilderness, Absaroka Wilderness. So just the fact that it's an idea that we can travel the whole thing and I can drive by it on my way to Bozeman, or, not too long ago, I spent some time up towards Missoula, and I was driving by with my girlfriend, and I told her, I'm planning on walking from this here town in Livingston all the way to Red Lodge. That's kind of a cool thing to be able to say I did in my own backyard. So that's that. I mean, that's that among many other reasons. Some of my favorite areas, one, the trip we got coming up in a week is going to be part of this hike, and the beaten path and some other real known places that I've spent time backpacking before. Just to be able to connect them all together is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's the same as me. When I came up with the idea, I wanted to utilize some of the more, I don't know, showcases of the actual area and kind of incorporate those like as much as I could. There's a couple other places that I absolutely love that I just could not connect, but it was that way. And I haven't completely released the actual total route. Obviously, there are certain parts that talk about, but as we get closer, I'll probably start sharing the whole route. Just kind of keeping a little bit close to the vest for now. But yeah, the beaten path is definitely part of it, and right now that's our Achilles heel because it is still damaged. But I think we have some workarounds on that. And then, of course, I had to finish it with the most iconic, personally favorite part of the trail, which is Sundance Pass. Just I feel like making that last climb up to the top of the pass and finishing under the watchful eye of my favorite mountain in the range, the Whitetail Peak, I think is going to be really awesome.
Oh,
So. Anybody who's watching, if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask them. I've got a couple questions here to kind of riff off of, but it would be kind of fun to see what you guys' thoughts are along the way. So please feel free to share those. So we talked about why you want to go on the journey. I guess the other question I have would be, what do you hope to get out of this trip?
Oh, for me, backpacking's always been about enjoying the outdoors. And this is just a way to enjoy the outdoors for a longer span of time. So, I mean, that's always it. The other thing, I'm planning on bringing my fly rod along with. And we should be able to catch every single species that is stocked in the high mountain lakes if we're able to stop and fish most of them. So I'd love to be able to say that I've caught every single fish species that can be caught in the Absaroka Beartooth range. Other than that, just being out there with a buddy and enjoying what Mother Nature has to offer.
Sweet. Yeah. Spoken like a true fly fisherman, for sure. Yeah, I like that, though. That's something I hadn't considered. And Snackbox says if we want to finish to be really extra incredible, we should swim the last mile. No,
Yeah. What?
I'll be lucky to walk it. If you saw the river that we have to walk out of, that there's no swimming. It would be bouncing off of rocks in freezing cold water. So, I tell you what, Snackbox, if you want to join us for that last half of it, we'll let you swim that last mile.
There you go.
Tangent Trail said you'll walk through some beautiful area for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We are definitely spoiled here. There's a reason why I never went back to Ohio. Definitely looking forward to it. So, but yeah, for me, I kind of very similar, but at the same time, like it's almost like a personal test to see if I can actually do this. I've always wanted to do like that long trail to see if I could do it. I think it's more, I know physically I probably can, but more that mental game. Definitely trying to see if I'm going to be able to, kind of push through because, even on the best trips, sometimes things just don't go the way we expect them and there will be stressors. And so there will definitely be some type 2 fun. But then also like you, I'm just excited with the prospect of being able to say that I did that. I walked across both of those mountain ranges in one foul swoop and connected 3 of the probably most iconic mountain towns in that part of Montana. Livingston, Cook City, and Red Lodge, all in one foul swoop. It just seemed like a really cool opportunity, and also because, as far as I know, I know people have done very similar routes, but this exact route I don't think has been done. I know some people have done a lot of off-roading to traverse the ranges, but to the best of my knowledge, we might be doing a first one here. So that,
Yeah.
I don't know why that is a thing for me, but it is. So
yeah.
if I'm being honest, it's a little bit of a selfish kind of like sweet.
Yeah.
So, and Jared said game on. So I'm going to hold you to that. We'll be contacting you soon with your invitation and get the logistics started up for that. Actually, all joking aside, he's got a really cool project he's coming up with. I'm super excited for him. He's doing a documentary. He is going to hike the Colorado Trail. It's like a second or third time he's done it, but he's doing it. It's the 50th anniversary, and so he's going to do it using gear that would have been available.
Oh, no way.
50 years ago. And it's really cool. We talked about something similar before, but I'm super excited to see that. So I think it's going to be really a lot of fun. So, yeah, he's awesome guy.
Yeah, I'm going to be a heavy hike probably.
So, all right, yeah. So I think that's that question. Do you have any questions you want to ask at this point, or I don't know. I didn't do a very good job of preparing you for this.
No. I mean, we can always get into gear stuff. That's always my most exciting thing. Like, what would you bring? Like, why? We talked about it. You said you might bring your Fly Creek instead of your X Mid. Why make that decision?
Yeah, so that's a tough decision because I absolutely love my X Mid. I am definitely a member of that Durston cult as much as I don't want to be. But it's a great tent. My concern is that I haven't done any camping in the first half of this trip, and so I have zero idea what's going to be out there. And then I have done a lot of the second half, and I do know that there's several areas in that second half that don't have really ideal camping areas in them. And so my concern was that the extra large footprint of the X Mid might actually restrict my ability to set up in those smaller areas. So I do have the Fly Creek, which is about the same weight, but it is a little bit more compact and a lot easier to fit into some smaller spaces. So obviously I'll be losing some comfort, but also at the same time, it's a tent that I know that uses well, that I can fit into smaller places. Because one of our logistical concerns right now, I know that we talked about, is the fact that we don't know how the camping thing is going to go.
Yeah.
And part of one of the stretches that I've already done, I know would be really difficult to camp with that large of a tent. Possibly doable, but definitely, kind of tough. So I think for logistics, for the sheer simple reality of less variables, I'm kind of going with that choice as far as the tent. So
Fair.
it should be about the same weight things. That is, unless I can get a hold of Devin from Backcountry Exposure and sweet talk him out of borrowing one of his large collection of tents.
Oh, there
Maybe
you
I'll
go.
do that. We'll see what happens.
Not a bad option.
It's a pretty nice guy. I'm pretty sure it could work out. He's probably gonna be angry if he sees that. All right, so yeah, and that's another thing too. Definitely going to be looking at how I do my pack setting up, because there's very, very much a difference between doing a 2 week long trip and doing a weekend trip where you're probably spending more time in camp, versus this one's going to be more about moving. And so I think for me, the comfortableness on trail is going to be more paramount to comfortableness in camp. I haven't decided if I'm going to bring a chair or not. I probably will, because I'm an old man and I'll get grumpy without it. But it's definitely going to be one of the lighter chairs. I won't be carrying my Big Agnes chair on this one.
Yeah.
So Half Pint in the Wild, she posted a comment saying that there was a recent update on all trails, and there's a log crossing that's being used where that bridge is out. So that's good to hear. We do have an alternate to that that we have discussed with the actual executive director of the AB Wilderness Foundation. It's kind of giving me some insight as to where. So there's a couple ways that we are going to work around that if the bridge doesn't get put in. I've heard that the bridge is supposed to be in next summer, but I've also heard it may not go in until 2026 now.
Yeah, that's what Snow Peak said last I looked, was 2026. But
yeah, I wondered if that was a typo. It might not be. I don't know. I need to follow up with Custer Gallatin. But anyways, that's good to know. I'll definitely check that out. I appreciate that heads up on that one. So, all right. And outside comfort zone, chair it up. He knows me too well.
Bringing a chair.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's one of those things where it's like it's really easy when you're planning to say, "Oh, I could totally go without that." No, there's no way. No. Yeah, chair is definite thing there. So, so we kind of discussed it, but a different way of putting it. What are you most excited for this trip?
That's a tough one. I mean, it plays into that type 2 fun. I'm most excited to get through it and then be able to tell the story afterwards, if that makes any sense. Like just being able to tell people that I've done something this awesome is up there. But like I said earlier, I just like being outside. So this is another excuse to be out there. And if I had to pick something about the actual trip itself, is just literally being able to spend 2 weeks to kind of unplug, refresh. Life is always busy. I'm sure it'll be even busier in a year, and it'll be nice to look forward to something that will be 2 weeks of relaxing in the type 2 relaxing in the wilderness.
Relaxing in the figurative sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me too, like you said, just the ability to look back and go, we did that. We pushed through, and that's like not something that a lot of people, weekend trips are awesome, and I have a ton of great memories on them. But like, it's just a very different like mindset in that sense of accomplishment. Being able to say that in one trip we traversed 2 entire mountain ranges, and then also, for me, I'm looking forward to being able to tell that story. Of course, obviously we have to get through it first, but I'm looking forward to the idea of possibly making a full-length documentary out of it and things like that. So, obviously, with all of this, I'm very much into the telling of the story. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that. And the other thing too is I feel like, obviously 2 weeks is not a long time in comparison to some trips and stuff, but it's definitely something I think is going to have an opportunity for some really good, like kind of soul searching and things like that. And just kind of really opportunity to, because even on a short trip or a week-long trip or something, you always kind of have the periphery of what's going on in the background in your mind back in the real world. And I feel like this one could be a long enough for us to get kind of more immersed into that moment and being able to kind of.
Oh, for sure.
So those are kind of exciting things for me. So uh, looks like we have a couple questions here. This is a really good one. I was going to touch on it later, but Tangent Trails threw this out here. What are your resupply plan? So this is something that we've discussed, I think, at length,
Oh, yeah.
and we came up with a plan to do 3 resupplies on trail. We don't have to do that many, but we have the opportunity to do that many, and I feel like I'm wanted to do that because, again, I feel like it would be, you know, since we have the opportunity to do a couple different, resupplies, instead of loading ourselves up with a week's worth of food and trying to slog up through some pretty rough terrain right from the start, it would give us an opportunity to kind of break that up a little bit. I'm sure a lot of the, you know, He-Man type backpackers out there would scoff at the idea of resupplying 3 times in 2 weeks. But I have no shame in that. If I can do it with only carrying a maximum of like 3 days worth of food, I'm going for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we have some logistics to work out, and that's definitely some of it because we have to plan our first resupply on the weekend so that your uncle can get it to us in one spot. The second resupply is pretty easy because it's going to be in town at Cook City, although we do have to make sure that we make it to Cook City in time for our hotel reservation. So that's going to throw some scheduling stuff in there. But we're planning on mailing a package to the hotel we're staying at. I've done this before at that particular location. So we'll mail it. And then also there is a general store there that we'll be going to that we can get fuel and things like that. And then for the third one, we've had a few people actually offer to meet us at a trailhead that's pretty close to the a couple days from the end for our third resupply. So that one I wasn't necessarily planning on doing, but because we had so many people that wanted to actually help out, which is really awesome, I felt like it was something that we should do. So yeah, we're going to be doing three resupplies. That's the plan right now, anyways. And hopefully that'll help keep our weight to a manageable level. So anything you want to add to that, or?
No, nothing that comes to mind. Yeah, along with the resupply plan, as far as food goes, I know I've just recently converted to the bear keg. The biggest downside of that is you can only fit so many days comfortably inside of it. So that's a little bit limiting as well. I have the BV 475, and that's comfortable up to 6 days. But with 3 resupplies, that won't be an issue at all. So,
yeah, and I forgot about that. Yeah, that was the other decision because I only have a 450, and anything I've done up to 5 days on that, but it gets tight.
Yeah.
So that's definitely also a deciding factor because we will be using bear cans. I always use them now anyways, but a section of this trail is the only trek section that I've ever been on where I have actually encountered a grizzly. And so I just don't think we should take any chances there either. So the 3 resupplies definitely helps us to, obviously could carry a larger bear can, but that's going to provide issues of its own. I wouldn't be able to fit it inside my pack or anything. So cool. And I think we answered the next question there with that. So hopefully that answered your question, half pint in the woods. So in the wild, sorry. So yeah. Okay. So on the flip side of that, previous question before that one, the one I asked about what you're most excited for, what concerns you the most about this trip?
Oh, it comes probably the length. I've never done anything this long, and I've had minor issues with my knee on some of the longer trips. I've gotten my legs into better shape and dropped pack weight, so I'm not as concerned about it, but it's always little things like that. Like, we're going to be going through how many passes along this thing, how many ups and downs, high country, hard rock faces and stuff like that are going to be impacting my legs and potentially hurting it. That it's a small concern, but if I had to pick one, that's probably the main thing kind of in my head. And then we just talked about grizzlies. There's always that thought of bears. They never really spook me. I've seen a couple grizzlies, seen a couple black bears. As long as you've taken the proper precautions and you bring bear spray and a pistol or whatever it is, I'm never too worried about it. Keep it in mind, but yeah.
I think along those lines, one of my biggest concerns is you're a lot bigger than I am. So if there's a sacrifice to be made, I'm pretty sure it's going to be me.
I don't know. You do quite a bit of running. You might be able to outrun me.
I got short legs, man. I can't outrun anybody. So yeah, I think for me, some of my concerns are along the logistical side, again, because it's such a big trip that I've never done something like this. And the first half of it is area that I've never been in before. And if I'm being honest, I don't have a great track record of visualizing with reality about things on the map and how long it's going to take. And, concerned that I'm going to, evaluate, we're going to try to do, I think, 10 to 12 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
And wondering if I'm going to be biting off more than we can chew on this, planning thing. And that, of course, plays into part with some of the timing that we have to do. Obviously, once we get past Cook City, it'll be a lot easier because we're not going to have to worry about making a hotel reservation.
No.
But so I think, I'm a little bit concerned that I'm going to misjudge some of that. I think I've gotten better over that. But, the classic example of that was when we did Solitude Loop Trail. And I thought that first day was going to be super, super easy and chill. And there was an 11,000 foot pass on the very first day. So can't believe I missed that one. But, yeah, and then the other thing for me too, obviously, is the physical aspect. I am in really a lot better shape than I was before, but obviously I'm definitely trying to continue that forward because I'm not a spring chicken anymore. As much as I like to act like I'm in my 20s, I am at 45, so I have to be cognizant of that. Although again, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, so that's kind of a plus. And then, just kind of, I think my biggest fear is not living up to it, not actually getting through it, allowing my mental blocks to impede my ability to finish this, because I worry that I'm going to be, obviously injuries happen, things happen, there's things, but if it's just a matter of me just not being able to complete it, I feel like that's going to be tough.
Sure.
So I definitely have a little bit of a personal fear there.
Yeah.
But I think we've got years to plan. I think it's definitely going to be something that I'm hoping we get out there and realize it's just
a breeze.
A lot. Yeah. And I definitely appreciate your comment about me being a youngster. I sometimes don't feel that way. I also will admit that when I was actually a youngster, when I was in my 20s, I beat the snot out of myself as a firefighter for 10 years. And I'm paying a bit of a price for that, but I appreciate the compliment. All right. I think any other questions you have at all, or?
No, nothing really jumps out.
Yeah, the other question I had was our biggest logistical challenges. So, I think that we kind of talked a little bit about our timing on things and stuff like that. And then also, campsites can be one of those things that's always a little bit of a concern, but I feel like I've always done really well enough in finding places. And I think there's plenty of places out there.
Yeah.
But we definitely have a lot to kind of figure out on that as far as roughly when and where we want to be at.
Well, and just pouring over the map, it doesn't look like we'll be hurting for water really anywhere. Most everywhere we're hiking, we're following streams. And
yeah, there's one area that in my experience, it looks like there's plenty of water there, but there really is not. And that is, the Stillwater section, which I've done previously, because it's really heavily vegetated. So that area can actually get a little bit dry. So I might have to camel up before we head down into that particular spot. It's not like dire, like it's not like you're in the desert or anything like that. But
Yeah.
when Jay and I did it, there were a couple times we ran out of water and we were like, "Are we going to
Uh-oh.
pass something?" That also incidentally is the hard part as far as camping goes, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the only other thing I can think of is possibly bringing other people in,
Sure.
because you and I know each other pretty well, and I think we meld really well on the trail. But when you bring in another um, aspect of that, it can be kind of derailing. I think generally speaking, we're both pretty easygoing to go with people, but obviously on the trail, things change, and even the easiest of going of people can get a little bit stressed. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another, I think, logistical concern because I know we have at least one person who's shown interest, and I know he can do it physically. I have no doubt about that. But I
Mm-hmm.
just want to make sure that it's a good match for all of us because you haven't hiked with him at all.
Sure.
And also, we'll be doing a different type of hiking than I've done with that person. So,
Sure.
but I think it'd be fun. It's just a fun thing to kind of figure out and kind of mull
Oh, yeah.
over. Um, and yeah, this is definitely a true statement here. If I can get the stupid thing to work, come on. I find that once you're out there, all those over planned fears melt away.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that is very true. It's definitely been my experience, even on some of the longer trails. Again, I'm excited to see how it transpires in a longer hike. That said, I've had a lot of great conversations with Phantom, our buddy, hiking buddy. And for those of you that don't know, Phantom has done both the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, all from start to finish. So I'm sure if he's watching right now, he is probably laughing at us and just being like, "You guys have no idea how easy this is going to go and how you're just going to enjoy it and stuff." And as much as I hate to admit it, he's always been right. So I have that kind of voice in the back of my head too. It's kind of like what would Jay do?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so yeah. Well, it's been fun. I think we're 32 minutes in. Let's do one
Yeah.
more call for questions. You guys have been very quiet, and it's a little disconcerting. So either we're doing a really great job, or you're just kind of like hanging out with us in the background,
Or both. It can
or
be both.
both. There's probably like, we just feel bad for this guy. He never has anybody watch his stuff anyway, so we'll just give him a throw out here. So, nope. Okay, here's a good question. So, no permitting anywhere? No, there isn't any permitting as of yet. Anyways, there's been talk that some permits might be an issue with the beaten path in the near future, but currently that is not a thing. But yeah, so this entire hike is going to take place within the same agency, the Custer-Gallatin National Forest. And the majority of it is in the AB Wilderness, Absaroka and Beartooth Wilderness. And with the exception of just making sure we're not following all of the rules and responsibility of those, there isn't any permitting. There is one thing that I do have to consider because I want to film this a little bit more intensely than I film other things. I might actually apply for a filming permit just to make sure that we're on the up and up with that because I don't want it if we end up like doing screenings or something like that. I don't want to have to explain to the Forest Service why I didn't do that. That would be the only thing I could think of that would be a permit thing. Real quick, I just want to highlight something here. Rod, have a great night at work. Thanks, bud, for tubbing in. You're always supportive, and we love it. So, as of right now, unless something big changes between the next year and stuff, I don't think there is going to be any permitting involved. That's a good question. Usually with a long hike, you do have to kind of figure that out, but because this takes place in a rather large single agency area, no permitting. The only thing I guess I could mention, it's not really a permitting thing, but the reason why we're staying in a hotel in Cook City, other than the fact that it's a weekend and I'm gonna really want to shower and all that stuff, because I'm a big sissy, is there is no soft-sided camping around the Cook City area. Unfortunately, There are several campgrounds in the area, but they are for RVs and vehicles only, because there unfortunately was a couple of fatal incidents that occurred in that area. So that's like my biggest bear fears in that area. Again, I have done it in the past, but it's definitely something to consider. So I'm going to use that as an excuse to wimp out and get a hotel room. Any thoughts on that?
No, I was aware of that. I guess I didn't put two and two together that that's why it is smart to stay in a hotel room in that area. But I don't think I don't think it's really wimping out either. I think I'm going to be excited for 1, a beer, 2, a shower, and 3, an actual bed. Not that I don't love a sleeping pad, but yeah.
Like I said, Jay and I, Phantom and I did a trip where we utilized this Cook City in the exact same way we're doing now, staying there for a night after about halfway through the trip. And it is a really cool trail town. Like, there's some really great places to get food. You can stop in the general store and get ice cream, and the hotel room was awesome. The people that were there were great. I think they took pity on us and gave us, you usually have to pay to use the washer and dryer, and they let us use it for free, probably because we smelled so bad. But it's a really cool town. When we hiked into Cook City on that trip, it was really fun. It felt a lot like hiking into almost like a town in Alaska or something. Like, it's really remote, and it was a great time. So I'm actually really looking forward. Also, the hike into the day, 2 days before you go into Cook City, is my favorite section of trail I think that I've experienced already. So I'm just looking forward to that whole area there. So, all right. Very cool. Sounds epic. Yeah, I hope it will be. I think it will be, with all the amount of thought I put into it. I'm super excited for it.
Oh, yeah.
And then Tangent Trails has given us a clear on there. Says nothing wrong with getting a relaxing hotel and resetting. So I appreciate everybody's support in that. I'm sure somebody out there is probably scoffing at the idea, but I don't care. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think, we still have 7 people in, and last call for quick questions. But other than that, I think we'll call this one. I think we're going to do, hopefully, if you don't mind, we'll do some more of these just as we get a little bit more of the building blocks in place, and just kind of keep people up to date on things. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. Either comment here or comment on something else and channel or Instagram, and let me know if it's something that you're interested in seeing more of. But I think this is fun. I think it's just kind of fun to talk about it. I think everybody likes to talk about planning trips and getting ready for things. And it even helps us, I think, to kind of think things through a little bit more and vocalize it. And hopefully we won't have some sort of epic forgetfulness. I think it's going to happen anyways, but
oh yeah, there's always one thing you forget. But
so cool. Well, thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
As always, thanks everybody for tuning in, and keep hiking on. I can't talk.